Okay, so I want to discuss an update concerning this pole flip. Okay, so I made a video saying that the pole was going to flip on March 23rd, 2023, and it was going to be the sort of finale of this cosmic reset, right? The shift that we are experiencing. And the pole flip didn't occur, though I do believe that the timeline sort of collapsed on that um, date. Okay, timeline just meaning this sort of astral realm that we've been in. Okay, that timeline, that sort of potential directional sort of energy collapsed. Okay, and but the actual planetary pole did not flip. Well, I do believe that I've been taking these dates a little bit too literally, maybe a little too over analytical, a little too calculated, too literal, too on the nose, right? Because that March 2023 date was, it's Pluto and Aquarius, but I also sort of did those calculations as I did with other dates, where I found it was 1 year and I believe 7 days between that March 23rd date and this April 8th, 2024 date, which is that sort of last eclipse of these double X eclipses that have been very connected to these, this reset, this shift, this reawakening. Okay. And, looking at that, finding if there was anything significant about that date or time that was according to the various sacred texts, Quran, Bible, that Noah spent in his ark. Okay. So I took that date as the flip date. But looking back, that necessarily wouldn't be when the pole flips. Well, looking at it again, well, how long did this deluge of rain last? 40 days and 40 nights, right? If we're going back to the Bible. Okay. So I believe that could be the actual day of the flip, right? It's not going to happen on the very day of Pluto, when Pluto enters Aquarius. It's going to happen during it. Okay. Which I guess it makes more sense. But 40 days and 40 nights is when was this deluge of rain. So 40 days from March 23rd, 2023 is May 2nd, 2023. So I believe that's the day that this pole could flip. Okay, and then there's other connections there as well. Well, one thing is there's an eclipse, okay, full moon eclipse in Scorpio on March 5th, 2023. Right? And we talk about how long the sort of force of the moon, the full moon, lasts 3 days. Okay. Right? So 3 days after this May 2nd date is this eclipse. Okay. So not only that, there are various channels sort of tracking that north magnetic pole, right? Which would be very important when talking about this pole flip, right? Our North Magnetic Pole has been shifting for a while. It's shifting towards Russia, currently in the North Pole. And, I kind of was using that information in this prediction, which kind of also threw me off on this date, because the pole actually, it's been shifting continuously, but then suddenly it just stopped. Actually, it started going backwards. But now it looks like it's still moving. And one of these channels, Maverick Star Reloaded, okay, I suggest caution with that channel, but their data does seem accurate. But they've been tracking this North Magnetic Pole, and they've done this experiment with compass and magnets, where if you attach these magnets to this compass, and basically you put these other magnet towards it, and once it reaches the 40-degree mark, it flips. That sort of compass hand flips. Okay. Which they said to take, and then, calculating then this north magnetic pole on Earth, we can see that it's heading towards this 40-degree mark. So the theory goes, once it hits this 40-degree mark, that's indicating this pole is going to flip. Okay, but then you see that connection there again. Once it hits the 40-degree mark and 40 days and 40 nights. Okay, so one thing that can indicate is that it shows why this number is sort of used and important in all these various cultures and sacred texts, right? Right. Numbers are basically just labels for these specific vibrations, right? So there's this sort of, seems like there's this sort of leap or portal vibration to the number 40. And the shift, right? This rapid change after a period of 40 days, right? And so there's that, but it would also coincide based on how it's moving, right? This pole's moving now at a few miles, I think, a month. It would also coincide with this May 2nd, 2023 date. Okay. And so basically, I believe that's what's is occurring, okay? Because what I think is happening is that this kind of goes back to my video I made about planetary puberty. This shift that we are about to experience, I believe is can be likened to sort of planetary puberty, right? And what's happening is we can look at solar cycle 25, right? So we're in solar cycle 25, this period when the sort of sun, right? The sun poles flip every 11 years. And solar cycle 25 is basically sort of breaking all of these predictions. Okay, it's much, much stronger than they ever could have predicted, and it's looking like it's going to be a very strong solar cycle. But we can also sort of consider that our magnetic field has weakened, right? So this solar cycle might not be as strong as other solar cycles, even though it's very strong, but combine that with our weakened magnetic field. So what I believe is that these floods, right? So there were these flood stories from all these different cultures integrated with all these different sacred texts, right? Not just the Quran, not just the Bible, Maya, Hindu. All these different cultures have these sort of flood stories. And I do think that can sort of coincide, that this flood can coincide with that. But I believe that it's actually talking about a flood of spiritual, astral, or psychic energy. Okay. This deluge of sort of spiritual, astral, or psychic energy, which is why the solar cycle 25 is so strong. Okay. It's almost acting as like these sort of spiritual, astral, or psychic hormones. Okay. Because before you hit puberty, your brain releases this chemical, okay, that sort of triggers puberty, right? And our sun is sort of basically like this big ball of spiritual, psychic, or psychic energy, but also it kind of functions as our sort of, our cosmic brain, our Gaian brain, right? Gaia is like the heart, the sun's like the brain in a sense, okay? And basically, we're being hit with this deluge of these sort of these energies of a specific frequency or wavelength or vibration. which is going to activate this sort of planetary puberty. Okay, right? Because I said how 12/21/2012 the world was supposed to end, blah, blah, blah. But, it was actually about the start of this new world, right? We've kind of been in this sort of cosmic upgrade, right? And it kind of reached 100% on in that 2012 date. And right, we reflect the earth as Gaians, and the average age of puberty is 11, though you also have that sort of pre-puberty stage as well. So that coincides with this date where, puberty is where that's where this is sort of converging, right? That's what this is sort of reflecting. Okay, the planet is sort of soaking up these psychic or astral forces, which is going to, activate this pole flip. It's going to activate this Gaian portal. Okay, and just like with puberty, what happens? There's this rapid change, like in a blink of an eye, relatively speaking. And because in a sense, our planet is going to reconfigure. And then in a sense, it's always reconfiguring, right? It's kind of like the only constant here, right? Change. But sometimes those changes are very rapid, okay? So that's where there's the concern, right? Because if the planet's going to rapidly reconfigure, it's going to sort of reawaken in a sense. That's where you're getting these, this extreme weather, these earthquakes, these eruptions, and that type of thing. But, right, we can look at this Turkey earthquake, okay? This Turkey earthquake, imagine that, but towards the peak of this sort of planetary puberty, that would be like, imagine the Turkey earthquake, but like dozens of them